Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Elan's Matchup Maximizer, a podcast presented by Keeping Karlsson, where I, Elan Dubrovsky, take a look at next week's NHL schedule and try to recommend players that you could stream in for your head-to-head matchups to give you an edge, both in games played and, of course, in the end, total points. We're going to want to stream in players who not only are going to give you extra games, but hopefully get points in those games. Hopefully, you're coming off a nice win in Week 9, but that's in the past. We got to look forward, and next week is another really fun streaming week. We're done for now, at least with these weeks from remember a month ago we were looking at weeks where it was just Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the busiest, and then there would be one or two games on the other days and there was hardly anyone to choose from. Here we've got a plethora, which makes my job, I don't know, easy or hard, because it's I could just talk through so many teams, but we'll see what we can do in 20 or so minutes. Looking at the schedule, so yeah, as per usual, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday are your especially light days, though even the worst is Monday with 4 games, and then you've got 5 and 6 games on those other light days. Then you've got Saturday as a super busy day, Tuesday as pretty busy. There's 20 teams playing 10 games, so you might still be able to fit someone in. Thursday we'll call a light game, only 8 games. Obviously you have to check your lineup. So for both Tuesday and Thursday, it's really going to be your lineup dependent. As I always say, before you start thinking about who you're going to stream in next week, you need to go and set your roster for every single day next week and take a look where you have openings at what positions, so that if I recommend a player and say they have 3 off day games, it might only be for you. You might only be able to fit in 2 games. So keep that in mind, and vice versa. You might be able to fit in 4. One team where you might be able to fit in 4 is the Carolina Hurricanes, because they play Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. And like I said, Tuesday and Thursday are light-ish. You might be able to fit them in, and then you're guaranteed to get the Friday and Sunday. So let's start with the Carolina Hurricanes and see who we can stream in from that team to potentially get those 4 games played. The thing is, the Hurricanes are actually playing in a game right now, which is not super convenient for me, because who knows, maybe they get blown up by the Canucks and then they shift up their lines. Right now it's 1-0 in the first for Vancouver. Lately on Carolina, they've kind of been jumbling up the lines. Today, Svechnikov is not in the lineup, so it's really hard to predict what's going to happen, especially for 4 upcoming Hurricanes games. The obvious name, I guess, that jumps out would be Michael Bunting, who at least today versus the Canucks is back on that top line with Aho and Jarvis. Bunting's had kind of mixed results, I guess, over these past couple of weeks since he's sort of come back into some relevance. He was on a hot streak a couple of weeks ago. This past week, he did score a goal against Calgary, nothing in the 3 games before. So, probably you're going to get a point or 2, I'd say, from Bunting in those 4 games. So if you could stream in all 4 Carolina games, then he's someone to consider, but definitely not safe. It's possible he could go back to the 4th line, or he could even just not produce on the top line. So yeah, it's a bit tricky there. Aside from him, there's not really anyone I could recommend on Carolina. Unfortunately, no one's really on a hot streak that is available in a lot of leagues. No one's on an especially exciting line. So I think we kind of just got to leave it at Michael Bunting and move on there from the Canes. I don't think he's going to be one of my picks of the week, but could be. He's worth a mention. Next up, we've got a couple of teams with Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday schedules. Might even be considered better than the Carolina, because you could get 3 games by Friday, and then you could move on to someone else for a Saturday, maybe a goalie or whatever, and then a Sunday. So yeah, those 2 teams are the Buffalo Sabres and the New York Islanders. So let's look at both of those teams next. Let's start in Buffalo. We need to keep in mind that Alex Tuch has been out of the lineup, but might come in at some point next week. But anyways, if you look at the lines today, it was Casey Middlestat on the line with Skinner and Tage Thompson. If you're in a league where Casey Middlestat is still available, then I would take him. He might even be a hold for you all season. He's only rostered in 25% of Yahoo leagues. I'm talking about Casey Middlestat. If you look at Cupful, the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League, which has over 40 divisions of really smart players, Middlestat is rostered in 98% of the Cupful division, so almost all of them, and for good reason. He is on a hot streak. He's been on the top power play. He's on this top line. He had 5 shots today, even though he didn't get a point versus Montreal, so that's what you want. I guess you're always at risk of a cardio. He did get nothing in the previous game versus Boston, even though he played 21 minutes and 29 seconds. But still, Casey Middlestat, an obvious pick. I don't think I could count him as a streamer of the week because he's rostered so high in Cupful. So most people in serious leagues don't have that option, but I had to mention him. I wonder if I could say JJ Peterka. Does he count? He's also super hot. He, today in this game versus Montreal, was on the second line with Cousins and Zach Benson. Not on the top power play. No points, just like Middlestat, but he did have 5 shots, just like middle stats. That's always nice to see. And then plus he had 6 shots in the game before and a goal versus Boston, had an assist in the game before that. JJ Paterka just keeps on producing. He either gets you points or at least a lot of shots. So he is only rostered in 29% of Yahoo leagues. He is, though, rostered in 100% of Cupful leagues. So again, I want to give helpful advice to people in Cupful of who you should add, but it's hard. I can't really think of anybody obvious here so far on these teams. Like, I guess Zach Benson has been the third with Paterka and Cousins. He's not really doing much. It's kind of hard to recommend him. He had that hot start, but I don't know if I want to be recommending a guy who has no points in his last 5 games, not that many shots. It is a good line, though. So if someone is going to go off on this team that is available to you in the Keeping Carlson Ultimate Fantasy League, I guess I do have to go with, Zach Benson, I guess. But he's not going to be a recommendation for this week. So next up, I said the New York Islanders also get that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday schedule. And okay, here is a place where finally we can sink our teeth into, because the top line lately has been Horvat, Barzal, and Anders Lee back up there. And Anders Lee is doing really well. He scored 2 goals today in the win against LA, 6 shots in the game before that versus Columbus. Like, Barzal is really great. He's having this career year, an amazing breakout. He's had 4 points versus Columbus. You can't get Barzal. You might as well get that exposure. It would be nice to get the top power play exposure, but those guys are probably taken. So definitely take Anders Lee for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday if he's still out there. And he likely is. He's only 25% rostered in Yahoo. In Cupful, Lee is 57% rostered, so he's going to count. Right now, he's my front runner for your streamer of the week for as long as he sticks on that top line. Though I guess there's some competition with Kyle Palmieri, who isn't playing with Barzal and Horvat, which is a bit of a downer, but he's still playing with Brock Nelson on the second line, which is decent. And Palmieri is on the top power play, so it's actually pretty tough to decide. And both of them rostered. Actually, Palmieri is way lower in Yahoo, only a 5% rostered. I wonder if he'll get a bump soon just because of this good schedule coming up. I think either of these guys are clear ads. I would actually lean Anders Lee at this point. I like the shots that he's been taking lately, and I like him playing on the top line. It's like that eternal debate. Do you want the guy on the top line or do you want the guy on the top power play? In this case, if the top line is cruising, then that's who I want. I could see it going either way. Honestly, like, I'm going to have both of them as my top 2 streamers of the week so far, if you can get them. But yeah, jump on. And the Islanders score some goals now. This isn't your grandparents' New York Islanders. They've been putting some pucks in the net lately, and Lee and Palmieri should be expected to get involved in some of these off-day games this week. Okay, I need to go talk about the Ottawa Senators now. They actually have the same schedule as Carolina, who I started the show with. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So you might be able to fit in all 4 games, depending on if you can fit in on that Tuesday. So if so, that's obviously great. But Ottawa, kind of like Carolina, who does have Michael Bunting on the top line, that might be available to you. But also he might get bumped. With Ottawa, it's really tough. In this win against Detroit today, they were just rolling a stacked top 6, Giroux, Kachuk, Norris, and then Tarasenko, Batherson, Stützle. Can't imagine any of these guys are available to. Like, Tarasenko is only rostered in 48% of Yahoo leagues, and actually Josh Norris is only rostered in 28% of Yahoo leagues. But, like, come on. These are either super shallow leagues or just not very serious leagues. Both of these players are rostered in 100% of Cupful leagues. Actually, if I'm looking at like non-goalies that are rostered not in 100% of Cupful leagues, the next player we're looking at is Matthew Joseph, who was interesting for stretches, playing with Stützle for a bit, even when he was playing like on the line with Josh Norris. But now it's like Joseph was playing with Dominic Kubalik and Ridley Gregg, which is like a fine third line, but obviously not especially exciting. He had an assist today. Like, he could do something, I guess, but unfortunately, I don't have anything for you for an Ottawa recommendation. So I guess we'll just have to move along. Unless, if you need a D, Artem Zub gets like some peripherals and gets points every once in a while. He's pointed in every second game for the past little while. So maybe someone to consider. Obviously not especially exciting. In a similar vein to Ottawa, another team with a good schedule, but it's really hard to come up with players to recommend, is the Colorado Avalanche. They go Monday, Wednesday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So if you want to take your Av player, you can get the Monday, Wednesday, and then you could decide if you're going to hold all the way for that Sunday game, which is against the Sharks. But yeah, you'd have to wait because you're probably not going to fit this person in on a Saturday game. Of course, with Colorado, like with Ottawa, it's tricky to find those exciting players. They are running like pretty bonkers lines. Like in this game against Philly, though they are losing today, I think the game is still going. They're rolling with McKinnon, Drouin, and Logan O'Connor, and then Nichushkin, Ranson, and Tomas Tatar. So I guess if that held, then we could recommend like a Drouin or like a Tatar, I guess. But I don't really want to. They don't get many points very often, even in these good spots. It's 3-2 right now for Philly after 2 periods. And so Drouin, even in this spot, doesn't have any points. Tatar doesn't have any points. So I think that you can safely skip them, which means there's not really anyone, right? Like I guess like the main guy you could maybe go for is Ryan Johansson, who sometimes is on the top power play, but isn't even there today. It looks like Tomas Tatar has been on the top power play. I don't even know what's going on, actually. And things might change. Like I think that Nichushkin is coming in here after being ill for a while. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado shakes things around a bit, especially if they lose. So I don't know. I think that we're going to have to pass here on the Avalanche as well, unfortunately. So far, it's just our 2 Islanders that are getting me excited here with those off-day games and players who are like both producing and on good lines. I'm going to keep digging, try to find some other players to recommend to you to stream in for next week. So just stick around and we'll find something after the break. We're in this together. Okay, we are back on the Matchup Maximizer, where I, Elan Dubrovsky, am trying to help you find people to stream in for next week's NHL schedule. All right, let's go next to the Arizona Coyotes. I'm seeing some goodness here. Okay, first of all, Arizona plays Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So this is going to be especially good for you if you've got openings on the Tuesday, which you might. There's only 10 games, 20 teams playing. Obviously, depends who you have on your roster. But if you could fit that in, then you're getting 3 games by the weekend. Then you could always drop for Saturday, Sunday, but maybe you won't even want to drop because there's some really interesting guys on Arizona who aren't rostered in that many leagues. First of all, the top line in today's loss to Boston was Keller, Schmaltz, and Jason Zucker, who hadn't been there the last time I looked. So yeah, Zucker definitely is someone that now deserves a watch list because he also got an assist, which was his 3rd point in 3 games. He also has 9 shots in his past 3 games. He was doing nothing all season long. But all of a sudden now this is a good moment to consider jumping on Zucker, who had a good year last year. And maybe he can just keep building on this. Obviously, if he holds top line deployment, that could be pretty great. He's also second power play for what it's worth. The next good line on this team, there's basically 2 lines at this point. Then you've got the Bjugstad, Krause, and Michelli line, and these might all be people who are available to you. Maybe not Lawson Krause. Krause is only rostered in 42% of Yahoo leagues. Like, I don't really get it. I would want him. People who play Kakufel want him, clearly, because Krause is rostered in 100% of Yahoo leagues. So he's not someone I could recommend as someone that I think might be available to you. But I think Michelli and Bjugstad are probably both available in a lot of leagues. Like, they're both 30% or less rostered, even in Kakufel. And they're both doing pretty darn good. I actually just traded for Nick Bjugstad in my Dynasty League. I traded David Perron for him, getting a little bit cheaper contract. I think, depending on what categories, but I like the coverage. And yeah, another good game for Bjugstad today. He had an assist and 4 shots and 4 hits. Not too shabby. And then also Matthias Michelli, he's really good. He's good at passing. Like, he's kind of known for being a great passer, but also he had 5 shots today and an assist, and he had 4 shots yesterday or in the last game versus Philly and an assist there too. So yeah, he doesn't score a lot, but the fact that he's shooting, I don't know, maybe he's just not a good shooter. Maybe he should stop shooting and just keep passing. But regardless, he's producing. He's on a good line. Like, I really like both of these guys. So yeah, that's 3 good names, I'd say, on Arizona: Zucker, Michelli, and Bjugstad, who might be available to you. And if you can fit them in on that Tuesday, get that Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Friday's against San Jose. Then you reassess what you're going to do after that. But all 3 could potentially be holds depending on how you're doing in your league. So Arizona, let me throw them up there, okay? So Zucker, Michelli, Bjugstad. And then we've got Lee and Palmieri. I think it's people that might be available to you and that I'm interested in Kakufel. I guess I'll have to pick one of those 5. Do I have to have a pick of the week? I guess it's kind of like that's the type of ecosystem we're in right now. People want to get like, who's the top pick? And then Trev is going to keep me accountable, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to vote Michelli. Okay, so far of all the players I mentioned, he's actually probably the person that I have the most confidence in to at least get you some points. But all five are pretty close, actually. Maybe Andersley actually playing with Barzal might be higher. So, okay. Anyways, there's still some more teams that have interesting schedules that we can look at. I guess let's stick on the Monday, Tuesday theme. If you have a spot on Monday, well, you definitely have on Monday, but if you have Tuesday and then Thursday, which is possible, there's fewer games on Thursday than on Tuesday, then you've got 3 teams with Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So you get 3 games by Thursday. You could then even drop for a Friday person. So even better than Arizona, depending on if you have that room on Thursday. So you've got Calgary, Detroit, and Toronto, all with the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Calgary just lost to the Devils today. They've been rolling similar lines for a while now, though they did call up Matt Coronado, who was playing with Kadri and Connor Zary. And then they had Backlund with Huberdeau and Coleman. And then you also have a line of Lindholm, Mangiapane, and Sharon Govich. So kind of hard. It's kind of like a nice little top 9 in terms of depth. It makes it interesting for streaming because a lot of these guys are available in a lot of leagues. Sharon Govich scored a goal today in this loss to New Jersey. He also had an assist in the previous game. He had an assist a couple games back. So that's now 3 points and 9 shots in the last 4 games for Igor Sharangovich. So he's kind of interesting. I've always had a soft spot for Mikhail Backlund. He always kind of comes through for me. I actually added him. He's pointless in his last 2. I think that means he's going to get some points. So actually for Monday, Tuesday, I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to get at least a goal from Backlund in one of those games. Also, Blake Coleman is good. I'm just throwing names at you now. These are all people that are available to you. And again, if you could fit someone on Monday, Tuesday, might as well throw a dart. Hope to hit one of them. Connor Zary, he had a couple straight games with a goal before doing nothing today. I could keep going, right? Mangiapane, but Mangiapane is super cold. I guess of all of these people, like I said, my pick's going to be Backlund. If you could take someone, though, also, I guess you could take a look on defense at Noah Hannafin, who has been on the top power play. And he had an assist today. It looks like there weren't any power plays for the Flames today, so we weren't able to let Hannafin flex, but he had been kind of cold. But yeah, an assist and 3 shots today isn't too bad. So lots of options for you over on Calgary if you want to stream one of them in. Next up, like I said, you have the Detroit Red Wings. I'm thinking we're probably going to be starting tomorrow's mega show on Detroit because Dylan Larkin is injured. Maybe we'll have an update of exactly how long, but that didn't look good. And so, yeah, we'll have to see what the lines are going to be. Joe Veleno was centering Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat in yesterday's game. If that holds, you would think that's a good spot for Veleno, though it's not like he's been doing too much with it. So I guess I'm not really super excited to recommend Veleno. Maybe he's kind of someone who, so the other two can cook. Honestly, the player in Detroit who I'm most interested in is Robbie Fabry. He's been on such a crazy run. No points today, but before that, he had 2 assists versus the Sharks, a goal and assist versus Buffalo. Then he was pointless the game before that, but before that, he had a couple straight games with goals. So Fabry has been rolling. He was also on the top power play today. Perron, Fabry, Larkin, and Raymond. And then afterwards, Kane, DeBrincat, Veleno, and Raymond. So obviously things are shaken up after Larkin left the game, so we'll have to see. But if Fabry's on that top power play, that's especially interesting and someone that you would want to take a look at for sure. So he's going to be, I'm wondering if I can't count Fabry because Detroit technically doesn't have that many off-day games, but I guess I can say it anyways, right? Because again, I don't know if you're listening, if you could fit the Tuesday and Thursday. So Fabry is definitely someone that I'd have up there as one of my top picks of the week. He's looking really good. Obviously a high pedigree guy. He's had a tough career in terms of injuries, but nice to see him able to be producing right now. And hopefully he stays healthy, right? Like that would be really nice to see him have a full healthy season and see what he can do with this little run of success that he's on. Then, like I mentioned, the Maple Leafs. We know the Maple Leafs. It's like, yeah, so there's Nyes, who's playing with Matthews and Nylander, and then you have Bertuzzi, who's playing with Marner and Tavares. Neither are doing anything especially interesting. There's always the chance when you're on one of these lines, when you're getting this exposure, that you should be able to do something. I'll take Nyes, I guess, over Bertuzzi, just because he gets you at least a lot of hits. So that's something. He had a 5-shot game a little while back, but I'm not too interested in either of them. If anything, on Toronto, actually, and this might be a situation where, like I said, it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You might not be able to fit forwards on both Tuesday and Thursday, but maybe you have a room for defense. Maybe take a look at Jake McCabe, just a solid peripheral floor guy who's been lucking into some points lately. He's getting decent blocks. He had a 7-hit game a little while back. So maybe not the worst option if you just want to try to get in on some Maple Leafs goals, hope that he can, pass to someone who passes to Matthews and then some magic happens. Let me throw one more team at you. They only play 3 times, but it's 3 off-day games. The Anaheim Ducks, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. You can decide if you want to play the risky game of waiting till Wednesday to make the ad, if there's someone on Anaheim that you like. But yeah, that's going to be pretty solid. And hey, if you could get a Monday, Tuesday guy that I just mentioned and then swap over to Anaheim, give yourself a little 5-game week. That's always an exciting thing to be able to do. Who can you add on the Ducks? Most people, right? Troy Terry's been dropped in a bunch of leagues, and for good reason. He's not doing anything. But you know what? You look at the stats beyond the goals and assists. He had 5 shots in that last game versus Chicago. He had 5 shots versus Colorado in the first time they played them. 4 shots the game before that. You would think that at some point one of these shots are going to go in, right? And Terry is playing on the top line with Killorn and Leo Carlsson and on the top power play. So it's good deployment. He's been good in the past. I don't know what's up with him. I just traded him from my couple team. Not necessarily because I was like super down on Troy Terry, but I like the package overall. I'll talk about that trade on tomorrow's show. But yeah, if Terry's been dropped at this point, go for it. Like, why not, right? Like, it's always nice if you could stream someone in with a good schedule and someone that if he does start to go off, he turns into a hold and you're really happy you grabbed him at his lowest moment. Of course, for Cupful, this advice is only good for a few people. He's rostered in 96% of Cupful leagues, so he is starting to get dropped, but maybe you can get him. Same goes for Leo Carlsson. He's rostered in most Cupful leagues, but he is available in a lot of Yahoo leagues, so those of you not playing Cupful, might as well jump on Leo Carlsson. I'll take him over Troy Terry at this point. Like, I guess we don't know for sure when he'll play, but I think the word was he's going to start playing like 3 games a week. There's only 3 games next week. Make it happen, okay? And he's got 4 points in his last 4 games. He's awesome. He's Leo Carlsson. He's going to be a star in the league for years to come. So he's definitely someone that I would grab, only rostered in 11% of Yahoo leagues. And then let me just finish that line. Alex Killorn, he is only rostered in 18% of Yahoo leagues, and Alex Killorn is only rostered in 55% of Cupful leagues. So I think he should be eligible for my streamer of the week, and I'm into him. Like, he's taking a lot of shots. You look at his game log, you've got like 4, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, so you're getting at least 2, maybe up to 4. He didn't get a point either of his last couple of games, but before that he had a goal and an assist versus Colorado. I think Killorn's a solid pick. He's also been on the top power play with Terry and Leo Carlsson. So go for it, right? I think Killorn is someone that I would be just as interested in as someone like an Anders Lee or a Paul Mary. I'd probably have him below Michelli. I do like Matthias Michelli, but maybe over those other Arizona guys who might be available. I'm not like so confident that Jason Zucker holds that top line spot. So yeah, Killorn's solid. He's been solid for me in the past when I've added him in a couple when he was on Tampa Bay, and he'd go cold for a little bit, he'd get dropped, I'd add him, and usually it would go pretty well for me until I'd eventually drop him when he went cold again. So I think he's definitely someone to look at. All right, so with that, I think those are all the teams with somewhat interesting schedules to potentially consider. On the flip side here, I did have a request to look into teams with bad schedules. I'll throw one out at you. The Columbus Blue Jackets only play 2 times next week, not until Thursday, and then it's Thursday, Saturday. So I guess the question becomes, what are you going to do with your Columbus players? I mean, you're not going to drop like a Johnny Gaudreau. Boone Jenner is injured. That stinks. He's going to be out long term. I don't know how that's going to affect things. I think that like the interesting players are like your Kirill Marchenkos and your Adam Fantillis, who are both doing really well. So it's like tempting to just hold on, especially now with Jenner out. Fantilli, you'd expect to have an even bigger role. Though he hasn't had like that much ice time, but he scored 3 goals in his last 2 games. I think if you really need to, I hope I won't regret this. I think if you really need to like maximize your games next week and get the win, I'd be okay dropping Fantilli, but you might really regret it. He's obviously just like Leo Carlsson, right? He's going to be a star one day, and it's just a matter of like if he's going to be able to keep it up now or if he's going to hit a little bit of a wall. Marchenko's like also been really solid. Yeah. I don't know. Both of them, I guess I feel pretty similarly about. Like, I generally want to have them right now, but with that really terrible schedule, I think you may be able to let go. You could always like let go and get like a Monday, Tuesday guy, then maybe just like wimp out and add them back on Wednesday. And at least you got a couple of games. And then hopefully if you could fit in on the Thursday, then it actually doesn't turn out to be such a wasted roster spot for the week after all. So something to consider. I don't know if I've really helped you. I would be nervous to drop them, but also I might do it if that's the kind of play. Like, I don't think they're at that level where you have to for sure hold no matter what, because you're like for sure going to really regret it if you don't. But yeah, they're both doing really well right now. Igor Chinnikov is someone who just scored 2 goals and an assist in the last game versus St. Louis. You might be excited about him if you had streamed him in. Definitely you could drop Chinnikov. That's not going to keep up, or like there's such a low chance that you don't hold just for a Thursday, Saturday. Okay, so that's this week's Matchup Maximizer. Hope you like the show. I've got a big fun show planned for tomorrow with Brian, where we're going to go over all of these teams and all the teams, right? Most of the teams, and look at all the hot streaks, cold streaks, the headlines, injuries, oucheries. We always have a lot of fun. If you want to join live for that mega show, you could become a patron of Keeping Karlsson. That's one of the perks. We give we ask for the patrons to support us because we're making this content, and that's a really nice way to show that you like our shows. But we do try to give perks to make it extra worth it. And obviously the biggest perk is joining our community on Discord, which we have a really great time there. I'm there all the time. Brian's there all the time. All the Short Shifts hosts are hanging out on the Discord. It's just a really fun place. A lot of smart people. But yeah, also we stream our shows live and have a really fun time in the chat for the mega shows. So yeah, if you want to sign up now, come join us tomorrow. I'm sure we're going to have a really fun night, like usual. Also, I should mention that the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League, we're still open for more people joining the waitlist. I feel pretty confident that within the month, if you sign up now and join the waitlist, you're going to get a team, by the end of the month. It's just that kind of time of the season where a lot of people, not a lot, we have a lot of really good managers that even when they're losing, they don't just bail. But like, this is the time where some people are starting to realize it's not going to be their season, and then maybe a small percentage of them decide that they're just going to bail. And so we want to fill those spots. And sometimes we've had people come in and turn those teams around. If you're a smart manager, it's a fun challenge, right? And there's also some people, by the way, that have even left good teams for whatever reason. Personal things come up. So anyways, if you want to come in and maybe play, sign up to be a patron, join the waitlist. I think we're going to get you a spot pretty soon. Anyways, I can say lots of things. We'd love a subscription. Wherever you get your podcasts, you'll auto-download a 5-star review, blah, blah, blah. But okay, I'll be back tomorrow to shill for all the things that we'd like for you to do. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode of Matchup Maximizer. Hope you end up adding some players who are helpful to you. I always love to hear if you want to tweet at us at Keeping Karlsson or on the Discord and then Matchup Maximizer channel. Let me know who you added based on this show. And we'll all hope that I was helpful. Okay, so thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow for the mega show. See ya.